I am so delighted to have one of my favorite people and senators, Kirsten Gillibrand, here to talk to us a little bit about fintech in anticipation of DC Fintech Week. And Senator, thanks so much. We know that nowadays your schedule is enormously busy. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right, so DC Fintech Week is a conference about fintech. Fintech, people have different sort of interpretations about what it means, where fintech should go. So I think maybe the first really basic question is, what is your vision for fintech? Qu'est-ce que c'est?
Well, for me, it's all about innovation and it's all about access to capital. I think fintech has such an ability to bring financial services to everyone, to make transactions much more frictionless, to make access to capital easier, and to democratize finance. As you quite well know, the financial services industry is dominated by a very small number of very powerful and important industry players. And while that's wonderful for stability for our banking system, stability for the economy overall, it leaves out a lot of people. As you know, about a third of Americans are unbanked or underbanked. Many small businesses have a very difficult time getting access to capital to be able to start their businesses. Many people are left behind, can't get bank accounts, can't get savings, checkings accounts, difficult to send money to family worldwide, lots of predatory lenders, lots of predatory practices. So for me, what fintech is about is the democratization of finance. And it's exciting to me. And I think the innovation that I've seen out of this sector in New York and across the country is very inspiring.
That's such a great answer. I always think, or when people ask me, so what do you think about fintech? And I always say, well, the goal is to get the highest quality financial services to the everyday person so that they can grow along with those technologies to really
Mhm.
center in on those problems, the underbanked and the unbanked problems that really do persist.
Yeah, they
Um,
really do.
and you've started to sort of mention a couple of those issues. And obviously, as a senator, you're really at the forefront of thinking through what the priority list is, or what are the pressing issues, both in Washington D.C. and for the industry. And again, you've mentioned a couple of them, but when you think about the must dos, or the things that one must accomplish, uh, what are they for you? What are the most pressing issue areas in the space?
Well, I think for a lot of people, they just don't have a great deal of knowledge in this space. There's not a great deal of knowledge base within Congress in general. And so I think that needs to change. And I think that the industry has really tried hard over the last year to introduce themselves to senators, to House members, to their staff, to have conferences in DC, just like the one you're having. This is meaningful because not everybody is going to have a financial services background. Not everybody is going to understand securities law or banking laws or any type of financial services related issues. Maybe if they're on banking or maybe if they're on finance, they have some understanding, but not a great deal. So, my priority is to really begin to look at Web3 overall and start creating regulatory frameworks for each type of business case and each type of technology that is based on Web3 models. I think introducing blockchain as a concept for all industries is really powerful for innovation in healthcare, for innovation in your personal data, your personal identity, for innovation in financial services. This is exciting and the possibilities are limitless. And so making that introduction to what new technologies can do for America and can do for people, I think is the highest priority for me to make it, demystify it, make it less complex, less foreign, less scary, less dangerous. Many people just look at different types of tech and say it's dangerous without knowing anything really about it. So we want to open these ideas up, make it very accessible for members and their staffs to begin to learn and get excited in the way that I'm excited about it. I think blockchain, particularly, can be have hearings on uses. AI have hearings on uses and challenges and solutions. I'm very excited about what we can do in the cryptocurrency industry to begin to do some basic regulatory frameworks. I think a stablecoin bill would be a high priority since it's very simple, it's very discreet, it's something that's easily understood. There's a lot of bipartisanship in both the House and Senate on different stablecoin measures. I think a market structure bill would be wonderful if we could get that done in the lame duck. I know that Chairman McHenry is leaving, and this has been his most high priority. And I'd love to be able to have him work with me and Cynthia Lummis in the Senate with Ranking Member Waters to really come up with something either for market structure or stablecoin by the end of this Congress. That would be extremely powerful. I also know that Debbie Stabenow and Senator Bozeman have been working together on CFTC regulatory frameworks for digital commodities. That would be powerful as well. And so if we could do a vote on any three, the commodities section, a full market structure bill, or even a discrete stablecoin bill, that would be very effective because it sets the stage and sets the table for the next Congress to do the rest of the work. Regardless of who runs the House or Senate or the White House. I think doing something this Congress with the players we have who are so invested. Debbie Stabenow is also retiring. I think it would be very useful if we could get something done now.
You know, what I loved about that answer was that you started off with a couple of philosophical, really big issues, right? I mean, you're talking about like how do people experience fintech? Like, how do you demystify it, both for policymakers on the Hill so that they can make good rules, but also for the people on the ground who are actually using those tools in a way that kind of advances their own welfare. And that educational and experiential component is certainly something that we think about, and as you mentioned, what we're trying to do over at the conference. And then you kind of bear down on the nuts and bolts of how to get that done, from market structure to digital commodities. You had mentioned certainly some very key retirements, people with a lot of institutional knowledge, a lot of knowledge about the space who will be leaving. But when you think about yourself, and you think about the impact and your legacy in the space on fintech writ large, what do you think? I mean, what do you aspire to, sort of big picture wise?
Well, I aspire to getting it done and to creating basic safety and soundness in the industry, basic consumer protection, basic transparency and accountability. Those are the three hallmarks of what we want to do in the fintech space writ large. And you can apply those principles to each type of technology and each type of application as appropriate. Not all those bells and whistles are necessary for all uses and all applications. If you're just, creating some NFTs that you want to sell because they're cool and you see it like an art gallery, you're not going to be needing to have banking regulations of safety and soundness. That's not applicable to you. But it may well be applicable to something very different. So these are the things that need nuance, need knowledge base, and judgment. And that's where the debate's been lacking because everything's a one size fits all. Everything's about terrorism financing. Everything's about illicit finance. And that's just not true. Not true. And so we need to, again, normalize the conversation, which I think is very important. I think we have some good partners in some regulators. I think we've worked extremely well with the Fed. We've worked very well with this Treasury. We've worked very well with the CFTC. We've not worked well with the SEC. We've worked very well with the Department of Financial Services in New York. Adrienne Harris is very expert in this. She was one of the first issuers of BIT licenses, really created an ecosystem in New York where these businesses could thrive. And so has places like Wyoming, where they have another state pathway for their businesses. And so there are people who are knowledgeable, who are working really hard to just put the guidelines together, just give some basic rules of the road so that U.S. participants can offer services and products that are far superior to that which is offered in Asia or in Europe, where the regulatory structures may not be as reliable as the United States. We have the best world financial markets. 100%. People want things that are dollar backed because we're reliable. We have a stable currency. That's why for example, our stablecoin bill is written to have US dollar backed. To say if we're going to start regulating this one industry, let's make it super safe. Let's make it state of the art, super safe, and let's put guardrails on that people can at least start with. It doesn't mean those guardrails can't change over time as the industry matures. But that's what we're trying to do, to get it started, to get people comfortable, and to give them time to get their knowledge base up. So when they have an opinion, it's a highly informed opinion. And I think we can do that in the Congress. I think we do that in the United States. I think that is all doable in the next year. As we've ramped up over the last 2 years, we've had a lot of failures. There's been huge industry failures, huge fraud scandals, like things that didn't help the narrative that this can be a growing, very innovative and very effective industry for access to capital, for democratization of finance, for ultimately consumer protections and stability and transparency and accountability. So we just have to keep pushing forward with good ideas so that people have time to learn it and support it and then get it in place so we can compete worldwide and have a very stable and reliable market in the United States.
To your point, there is a risk of, a lot of people think, well, there's risk associated with doing something. Well, there's a lot of risk associated with doing nothing. And
much more risk with doing nothing. Much more risk with doing nothing. And that's what's baffling me. But we had some great news from certainly my candidate for the presidential, Vice President Harris, and she talked about her vision for creating innovative markets and that she wants to look strongly at different technologies like blockchain. And that is so exciting that she sees this as an area of opportunity, as economic opportunity, as an industry she wants to participate and regulate. That's great. So I feel like there's momentum now and there's a little wind in our sails. And so maybe for this small little lame duck session we have of about 6 weeks, maybe one of the pieces of legislation we get to vote on will be blockchain or cryptocurrency related.
All right, so big news and at least big aspirations and a little bit of wind behind our sails for this lame duck. Senator, thank you again so very much. You are a leader and so widely respected across the aisle and around the world. Thanks so much for, again, sharing your views with us.
Thank you.